So Rose here. Welcome back to my channel. So our language is going through so many permutations. We've got text messages and emails that have created an entire niche sub-language of emojis and abbreviations and acronyms. But politics is also having a huge influence. I mean, we have to make sure that everything we say is politically correct. Which is, I think, fair in a way, because you don't want to insult or degrade somebody who's already probably having a pretty shit time of things. But in our zealousness to scrub our language of all negative connotations and emotional triggers, we've ended up with some pretty nonsensical phrases. So they don't want you to call somebody unemployed anymore. Instead, you should call them unwaged. Which is worse, because unwaged could include somebody who's working and not getting paid, like a slave. Or alternatively, call them unintentionally at leisure. Leisure implies that you're engaged in some kind of activity that you really enjoy doing in your free time. Nobody who's unemployed is having any fun. They're sitting at home stressing out, trying to find a new job, sending out resumes, going on interviews. They're fighting with their partner. They can't pay their rent. This is not leisure, unintentional or otherwise. And then another powerful buzzword is homeless. Yeah, don't call somebody homeless. Call them rather unhoused. Or person experiencing homelessness, which actually is an improvement because it changes it from being part of their identity to being a circumstance, which might be temporary. But most recently, I've heard that we should call them outdoor urban dwellers. I mean, as if being homeless were some kind of fun lifestyle choice that they've made, instead of shelling out for that expensive penthouse apartment because that was their other option. And they don't want you to call it a crime rate. You should call it a street activity index. So does that mean all the people out there walking their dogs or sitting in outdoor cafes are part of the crime rate now? But the most ludicrous substitution I've come across is for the word vomiting. They want you to call it unplanned re-examination of recent food choices. But there are actually a lot of words that you don't want to change because we need to know the negative connotations and the emotional triggers to that word to protect ourselves. So instead of calling someone a pervert, now we should call them sexually dysfunctional. Dysfunctional implies that something isn't working. They are fully functional and in ways that make other people very, very uncomfortable. And we need to know this so that we don't feel comfortable letting them watch our children. And they want you to call someone dishonest, ethically disoriented. They are not disoriented. They are consciously lying and stealing and cheating, and we need to know this so we don't trust them with our money. And they want you to call it a lie an alternative fact. Well, that's straight out of the Donald Trump playbook. But what's the good of making all these changes? I mean, a person who is deaf cannot hear if you're calling them deaf or hearing impaired. A person who is unhoused is not magically going to find housing by calling him a person experiencing homelessness. Crime certainly isn't going to vanish by calling it street activity. And the reason that I think we're actually changing the language is not so that we don't insult someone. It's because we just feel so guilty about the fact that we're not trying to do anything to change the circumstances. So an easier way to get rid of a problem is just changing the word. We don't have a homeless problem. We have outdoor urban dwellers. But with all this sanitizing of the language, if you actually really do want to insult someone, you know, someone's done you a real dirty turn there and you want to dig in with some meaty insults, what do we got? Asshole, dickhead, bitch. If you want to know the best insults, Shakespeare. He wrote scathing commentary, and much of it politically correct because he wasn't targeting a group. He was writing a very specific insult for that particular individual. So in Shakespeare's time, somebody did you wrong, you call them a minimus of hindering not grass made. You call them a canker blossom. You call them a naughty pated fool, a clay-brained gutless whoreson, a embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood, you 3-inch fool, you poisonous bunch-backed toad, you beetle-headed flap-eared knave. Ha! Now those are insults. Anyway, thanks for listening.